So today we're going to talk about responsive design through media queries. You may have heard of a variety of different libraries that allow you to do responsive design, things like Bootstrap and the such. But today we're going to talk about how to do that on our own without relying on an external library. Once again, as a review, responsive design is a process of designing a website that responds to its environment. In other words, we wrote one website, and that website adjusts the layout of its content and design based on the size of the screen and orientation of the device that it's being viewed on. So, a media query is a way for the computer to request information about the media device. So, it's a way that the website that we're writing can gain information about the type of device that the user is using, including um, the screen size of it, the width, the height, the orientation. Are they holding it in portrait or landscape mode? All kinds of different things. And as previously mentioned, most of the responsive design frameworks that you can download and utilize, such as Bootstrap, behind the scenes utilize media queries. So one of the first things that we have to do is control the viewport. So you'll see that we've written a meta tag down here. Meta name equals viewport, content equals width equals device width. So right here, what we're doing is we're setting our viewport equal to the user's device width, and we're setting the initial scale to be 1. And what this does, it's going to make sure that our placements and widths work and don't exceed smaller screen sizes. This meta tag should be on every page in which you're going to use media queries. Media queries are broken up into two different things. The first of and easier of which is called a media type. A media type is one variety of a media query. It's going to let us know how the user is accessing the content. The default media type is a screen because that's how most users view their content. Though we can talk about print and even oral. There are styles in CSS that started in CSS2 where we can allow for voice choices, rate of speech, those kinds of things for text to speech and screen reader programs. We're going to mostly be using screen and print in this course, and there's certainly many others. You can find out more about them by going to more media types. We're going to focus on screen and print, but I bring in oral just because I think it's an interesting example of another type of media type. The next piece is media features. That's pieces of information about the device that the client is using. We also often test them in value pairs, similar to a CSS syntax. We can look at screen width, screen height, orientation, and there's a whole comprehensive list. If you click on right here for media features, you can see how that's done. And then most commonly, we work with things like width, where we talk about the max width and min width to set conditions, or the height, or even the orientation, portrait, and landscape. This link up here takes you to a really good example of doing responsive design using media features. So now that we know the difference between media types and media features, we have to talk about how we apply these. They're most commonly applied in style sheets to create conditional styles. So you see over here on the right, this is written as an internal style, could certainly be done in an external style as well. I have at media and then print. So this is the media type when they're printing. When they're printing, we're going to take all of the H1s, we're going to convert them to the font family Arial, and we're going to make the font size 12 point. Another media query that's happening here is I'm saying for the minimum width of 480 pixels, which means this rule is only going to apply when the width of our viewing area is 480 pixels or bigger. Less than 480 pixels, this will not apply. What I'm saying is that this class col-3 is going to have a width of 110 pixels, and it will have a margin left and margin right of 5 pixels. Remember, when working with media queries and doing responsive design, as always, you should be designing mobile first. In other words, designing the smallest first, and then as it expands and you find places where it doesn't work as well as you would like it to, that's the point where you start to make changes and things. We can also offer compound media queries. We can do conjunction with and, we can do disjunction with or, and we can do negation with not. Um, so for an and to work, both parts must be true. It uses the keyword and. For an or to work, one part must be true. It uses a comma. and for negation changes the entire query. So if you do a not and, it's going to leave it as an and it's going to say not condition one and not condition two. So be aware of that when you're using negation. So here's some sample code. We're designing this mobile first. So this page is going to start out by showing the background color of green in its smallest format. That's anything up to 400 pixels. So this is our default look right here. And then as the page grows, once it becomes 400 pixels, it will get a background color of black. That will stay black until it has 599 pixels. At 600 pixels, the background color goes to purple, and that continues until 999 pixels. And then we have at 1,000 pixels background color to red. So you'll notice there's not one down here that goes from 0 to a max width of 399. This default handles anything that's not accounted for. Also notice that there's no max here. That means that this goes from 1,000 to anything bigger. I also then have an overriding version here that says media print, body background color white. Notice that I put that last because if I were to put it first and I had a print window that was 600 pixels, then that purple is going to override. So I leave this print to be the last media query that I write, so that it overrides any rules that were applied further up. Just generally recognize breakpoints. These are the same as Bootstrap, just so that we can remember. Um, 0 to 575 is for cell phones, small normal cell phones. Larger small cell phones are greater than or equal to 576. Tablets are typically greater than or equal to 768. Laptops greater than or equal to 992, and desktops greater than or equal to 1200. You don't have to stick to these. These are some generally accepted. Again, these are the Bootstrap breakpoints. But you can design your site to have as many or as few breakpoints as you want using media queries. Again, design for mobile. And then as you make the screen bigger when it starts to look bad, put a breakpoint and start to change the way that it looks. And then you'll be guaranteed that it looks the way you want it to at all sizes on all devices. Not only can we make our styles conditional, but we may find that our style sheets can become very long. If I have a lot of breakpoints, if I have a lot of style changes inside of those breakpoints, it gets very big, very cumbersome, very confusing. So one way we could do this is to write a style sheet for each query and then load them unconditionally. Or sorry, load them conditionally. And that way we only have to write styles that need to be overridden. We use the media attribute and of the style of the link tag, and closest style wins. So again, I'm starting with default styles, and then based on 200 to 599, I'm going to load this style sheet. And then if it's 600 or bigger, I'm going to load that style sheet. And then if it prints regardless of the width, I'm going to get this style sheet. All right, before we get to the practice, let's look at an example here. So what you'll see is that I've got some default styles where H1 is underlined, body is yellow with a background with a text color of red. When my page goes into portrait mode, the background's going to become purple, and I'm going to get rid of the displays. And when it goes into 900 to 1100, it's going to become black. So when we look at this page over here with Grumpy Cat on it for the first time, I've got my text appearing. My H1 is underlined. My background color is yellow, and all my text is red. As I make that smaller, right here is where I go into portrait mode, meaning the width is less than the height, and my background becomes purple and my images disappear. And if I make this larger, then right around this point, I go into my minimum 1100. Sorry, my minimum 900, my maximum 1100. And the background color becomes black. And then as I make it bigger and I go past 1100, it goes back to yellow. One other thing that applied here, sorry, let me get rid of these, is I've applied a full style sheet called print style. And you'll see print style goes color black, background color white, and turns off all of the images. Um, and so if I have that applied as my last thing, then it's the most important. Closest style wins. So when I'm over here and I go to print, you can see in my print preview here that my images are gone. I've got a white background and I've got black text. So those are some of the examples that we have for media queries. Again, as always, it's really important that you practice these skills. You can find notes and lecture code and links and practice problems at this link, um, and you can find the practice problems here. Good luck.